Alright, so I finally figured out how to make this full screen, so today I'll be talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. I am Hunter Eckert. Today is not the 11th, it's the 16th. What is PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder is a behavioral disorder in which a person is pushed to the severe lengths of their mental capacity and are left traumatized because of it. The person remains in a constant state of fight or flight, which causes severe change in the individual's behavior on a day-to-day basis. Basically, there's several scenarios of where this could happen. It's just major trauma happens to the individual where they're pushed beyond their mental capacity and it ends up altering a pretty good chunk of their life. It can cause several different long-term symptoms, short-term symptoms. It can come from varying different things. It could be from a car crash, it could be from sexual assault, it could be from war. There's really no cap on what could have caused the trauma, more of just how much, how far the person has been pushed because of it. Alright, here's some of the symptoms of PTSD. Avoidance. This one's really common with the war veterans in terms of the fact that they are super nervous around crowds because it simulates any time they spend, in Iraq, where there would be huge mobs of people and it's a constant on guard because you never know who's coming up behind you. Nightmares, of course, are self-explanatory. You relive the event in your sleep. It does affect your sleep, but it's not only your sleep that affects it. Nightmares can also apply towards the day, like you can be daydreaming. You can be reliving the event. It can cause by just a different trigger, whether you hear a certain sound, smell a certain smell, or just you feel uncomfortable in the situation. You can actually start reliving the event. The inability to experience stuff and enjoying feelings. This is another one that really goes with war or sexual assault. Like after the incident, you just find yourself not able to enjoy the same things you used to. You have problems with concentration, constant distraction. It really affects marriages quite heavily, puts a lot of strain on them because the other person cannot understand exactly what that individual is going through, and instead they feel like they're being ignored or they can't help them. Depression, of course, comes hand in hand with PTSD. They have very similar symptoms. Individuals who have PTSD generally suffer from depression to some extent. Suicidal intentions. This is also a really, really common one. If the event is so horrible that the person really just cannot deal with anything that's going on, then suicide is generally the answer that they resort to. It happens quite often with the veterans. Restlessness. This goes back to the first slide of you're in a constant state of fight or flight. You have restlessness where you can't sleep at night. You can be twitchy. People can, like, instead of isolating themselves, people can involve themselves more into work, so they don't have to think about their personal life as much. They become more dependent on the work. Memory loss is a common one. A lot of people cannot remember the incident at all, and when they do, it begins to upset them, and there's just certain triggers that can set them off. Flashbacks is more common with like the Vietnam veterans because what they experienced was so awful, and that's where the whole stigma of people asking not to do fireworks on the 4th of July because of veterans, that was originally because of the Vietnam veterans, that the incidents were so occurred that the sound of fireworks would set them back into basically battle mode, and they would think that they're reliving the event of the fight. Who experiences PTSD? PTSD is a trauma-related disorder, so it must occur, and the individual must be involved in a severe incident. Multiple people can experience the same incident. It can be considered traumatic for some, while not for others. Just because two people go through the same event does not mean they will both develop PTSD. Each person has a different resiliency level and experience things differently. Common PTSD includes those that have experienced sexual assault, war, loss of a loved one, car accident. Alright, I already basically went over this, but the one part I want to touch on is two people can experience A lot has to do with your social upbringing, and there's some people that have just gone through more difficult lives, so it's more used to them. So they might have a higher resiliency level than say someone who comes from like a wealthy family, has never really had to experience any kind of horror or hardship or anything. So they may be more sensitive than anyone else because of the fact that they've never had to experience any true real horror before. Options for treatment. Medication would be a popular one. When you begin going to a behavioral health provider, you're going to be scheduled with a therapist or a psychiatrist, and medication will probably come soon after. The issue with medication is the same with any other, like depression. It has a possibility of making things worse. There's a real, like a lot of trial and error when you're doing that with medication, starting someone out, because you really don't know what medication is going to work for the person unless you actually try some out. So, I mean, when I was in behavioral health, I tried probably around over 6 different antidepressants before we finally found one that was effective and helped some of the symptoms. But therapy is really helpful. It's always nice to have that confidentiality and safe place where you know you can say whatever and it won't be repeated. Group programs like the Blue Word Project, Project Odyssey, they are absolutely fantastic. There's equine therapy where there's horse riding, there's shooting clubs, there's all different kinds of stuff that can help anyone. It puts people together with similar symptoms and similar experiences, and it actually really does a lot of great things for the people because that's the main thing, is just to show them they're not alone with their experience. And what happens is, you can come back from it. Inpatient, that's for like the severe cases, obviously the ones that are suicidal. Inpatient is always a good option for those. That way they can get the actual treatment and the constant supervision that they need to make sure they don't hurt themselves. And the last one is time. And time, basically, it's the phrase, time heals all wounds. That's really what it's going to take. It's going to take time. There's no overnight miracle treatment that'll make you immediately feel better. There's nothing that'll immediately take PTSD away from you. It comes with time and it comes with work. The person has to want to get better in order for them to see any results. They have to want it. Last, we just have our references. WebMD always has really good stuff on PTSD. I use WebMD for everything. Other than that, each of these websites, they all have great contact information. They have anything for anyone who's interested in going and actually getting help. Like each one of these websites is really good. And that's it.